So I want to clear something up right off the bat. It's come to my attention that people might think this is a food podcast. I know there's been a litany of food takes throughout the first couple episodes, but I want to assure you that we set out to have a podcast that was loosely based on Philadelphia sports. And I know that you guys can clearly perceive that we're here to break down the ins and outs and that we're incredibly credible. And today I want to get back to sports, and what better place to do it than right here in the shadow, there's no technical shadow, but in the shadow, a stone's throw from Citizens Bank Park. If you're watching us on YouTube, you can see this wonderful visual. If you're listening, I assure you, I'm not making this up.
You hear the SEPTA bus going behind you?
It's amazing. It's like music to my ears. It's everything I dreamed of. And in an effort to restore our credibility, we decided to bring in somebody who is legit, right? Somebody who covers sports on a day-to-day basis.
The nitrous balloon dealer?
We did not get the nitrous balloon dealer. He's over there. This is a guy who...
I'll take two.
He covers the Phillies on a day-to-day basis for a wonderful site called The Athletic. Mr. Matt Gelb, how are you?
I'm trying not to take myself too seriously, but...
that was a big intro.
Yeah, that was big.
When the juxtaposition of you and us is so significant that, you should take it. You should just roll with it.
Meech is a pretty big deal on Twitter.
This is true. I've acknowledged that it's part of this.
Yeah, but I'm a big deal based on like 10 years ago. Nothing I've done lately is significant in any way. All of my followers
You have been coasting.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've been
He
coasting.
has been coasting, resting on his laurels. But what the funny thing is, I think because of your legitimacy with the Fightins, you were able to establish relationships with guys like this that are legit, and here we're cashing in on them. So here we go.
That.
Finally, it only
And-
took
and-
10
and
years.
It all pays off.
I just want to say, Rock is over here, and he's kind of our co-pilot in this baseball edition.
Yeah, I'm not going to have much to give to this one.
That's
just gonna
okay.
give it to you right now.
I see that you've got your...
kind of here for comic relief.
I just want to point out he's got his John Kruk giveaway jersey with the Chevy logo on the back. Thank you for wearing that.
This is all I had to be. It was either this or my Dom Brown jersey,
Right.
So I figured I'd go with
Should have
this.
worn the
Nothing
Dom
wrong with
Brown
Dom.
jersey.
Yeah.
Don Brown, man, he had a run there. Well, so because we have an authoritative voice on the ins and outs of what's going on with the game, I wanted to start by getting right into some of the biggest issues that are facing us as fans, and ask you, what do you think about fans that go to games wearing flip-flops?
I would say if you ask me about fans who wear jerseys that have their own name on them, I don't feel good about that.
You don't feel good? No, but I'm talking about flip-flops because to me...
Gelb's a flip-flop wearer, so he's
Well, let's ask that question. Are you a flip-flop guy?
I'll wear flip-flops.
Okay, but what about to a gathering of upwards of 35,000 people?
No.
No.
I have big problem people wear flip-flops on airplanes.
I was just, it's so
Is
funny
that
you
bad?
say that. It is so funny you say that because in my mind I was like, eventually I'm going to go to the airplane because the people that wear flip-flops to the baseball game are the same ones
people.
that show up for a flight with flip-flops. And here's my take on this. I'm not exposing my bare foot, to, like, you've seen what goes on.
I wear slip-on Vans to the beach. I don't even like wearing flip-flops to the beach.
I hear you. Well, they like flick all the sand up. It's not a good thing. Now, if it's super hot,
flip flops outside the house is kind of trashy, but
well,
whatever.
I was thinking about like this.
Nothing against you, Matt.
Would you wear flip-flops to walk down like a city street in Philadelphia?
No.
No, see what I'm saying? But there are people, by the way, and they're they'll react to this, who feel strongly that the flip-flop is a totally acceptable piece of article to wear. Now, here's the question. We're probably going to offend some of the ladies because there are certain flip-flop types.
Yeah, I was gonna say this sounds acceptable for females.
Yeah, but it's interesting to me. Like, they're so comfortable putting their feet out there. Either way,
This conversation is supposed to bring legitimacy? Like, what?
yeah. Well, it was it was a little bit of sarcasm. All right, okay.
Coming out hot with the flip flops.
Listen. Here's the deal. We're gonna take it up a notch. We're gonna get into something that is a little bit more legitimate, slightly more legitimate, because I have wanted to get a real baseball person's take on this for so long. Talk to me about these oven mitts. I mean, like, come on. Here's the deal. We've kicked this around a little bit as friends internally. These guys go up to the plate. They have 7 protective things. Like, when they walk, it takes 10 minutes for them to, and then the bat boy has to come out and collect it all. But the oven mitt in particular is a problem, in my opinion. How do you feel about it?
The gear, I don't have a problem with, because get in the box against guys who are throwing 99 and they legitimately have no idea where it's going. Like, totally understand. Like, I totally understand wanting to wear as much as you want in the batter's box. It is annoying. I agree. The oven mitt, I don't get it. And it's mainly because guys don't know how to properly slide. That's why they have to wear the oven mitts. Like, that's it. I don't get it. Now, if it's a guy who had a hand injury and he needs to wear it for like a week or something, I get that. But the guys who are doing it don't do that.
Jesse brought up a good point before. What if, say you're sliding into home with your oven mitt, which is about 4 inches longer than your
They just get
actual
longer
finger,
and longer.
and you slide in, and the oven mitt is safe.
Game 7 World Series.
But by the time the glove gets down there, you can see it bends and like.
I didn't take into account the bend.
They have like
Is there a
rule?
standards. They have standards on what you can wear and can't wear. So
I'm
like,
sorry.
It has to be approved, I guess. But
Have you seen some of these?
They're big.
They are like 7 inches too long.
Yeah.
I mean, guys are clearly taking liberties with these oven mitts. Now, I will say this. We are sitting here in a moment where protective gear may be more relevant than ever, because we did see our man Bryce Harper break his thumb, and if he was wearing some sort of thumb protector, that might not happen. And by the way, these guys are making tons of money. Their livelihoods on the line. This guy could have an MVP season, but for breaking his thumb. So part of me is like, they should wear it, but the oven mitt in particular is something that I have a big issue with. That's where I'm coming from. You guys on board with me, or you just let it slide?
I don't care about that.
You don't care. Well, yeah, I know you don't care about it.
I really think that is one thing where they should draw the line. It's absolutely ridiculous.
As a
All right.
baseball outsider, I guess you could say, it does seem like an unfair advantage to have these huge mitts that you can slide in and touch the plate.
They should make them wear like mittens, like winter mittens, like you're a kid.
It should be fitted to your hand.
There's an
Like,
opportunity here for someone to come up with the baseball mitten.
It just seems silly. And I was at a high school game, and the guy's at bat, and he has one of these oven mitts like protruding out of his back pocket.
Well, see, that's a problem.
I'm
Like,
like,
high
this is
school.
my son,
Yeah.
who plays travel baseball, 10 years old, asked me if he could get one. I'm like, come on, man.
Did you get it for him?
No, hell no.
That's
Hell
like
no.
that's
a
like
good
when my
father
kid
right
wanted to sleeve for his youth basketball league. Just tell him to hit the bricks. You ain't getting it, kid.
Hey, but your love for AI,
cut a
you're not going to
sock.
get him to sleeve?
Go cut a
No,
sock.
my love for AI prevents me from getting my kid a sleeve. How's
Fair
that?
enough. Fair enough. Well, and on that note, I was at a travel baseball tournament this weekend, and I had to ask you guys this because it was peculiar to me. These teams are out here. They got the Bluetooth speaker. They're playing walk-up music for every kid.
No.
Swear to God. Our
How old
team,
are these kids?
They're 10 years old. Our team did not have this. But the other team, every kid's got walk-up
Now
music.
you're going to have it next game.
I know. Well, they're playing in the championship, and they asked us for our favorite
No, we
songs.
don't play it.
I'm like, you got to be kidding me, man. It's crazy what's happening out there. But, hey, it's great to have you. And, yeah, we joke around, man. We're screwing around with all this stuff. But I'm excited to have an actual
Professional.
a professional, a journalist, because we are certainly not that. Now, I think that we all understand, we see the pieces you write, we see your tweets, but the one thing that I feel like people don't really understand is, like, what is it like in 2022, post-pandemic, online digital media, like, what is it like to wake up every day and be like, my job is to cover the Philadelphia Phillies? Like, what is that like for you?
I mean, I think there's a lot of pressure because, like, I'm trying, like you said, in this kind of world, I mean, you can get your Phillies information or news or stories from a lot of different places. So, like, my job is to find a way to separate myself, just to make my stuff interesting. And it takes more than just, like, showing up and, watching a game and talking to a few guys. Like, I'm trying to come up with ideas, talk to different people in the sport, try to develop relationships. Like, it's somewhat boring. Like, I know people think it's a great job.
It's a
but,
grind.
like, some of it, like the behind the scenes stuff is, isn't like that glamorous all the time. But I think what I love about the job is when I wake up is, like, you don't know what's going to happen that day. And there's not many people who can say that about their jobs. Like, I didn't know I'm going to wake up one morning in San Diego and that night Bryce Harper is going to break his hand. It's a huge story. It's a season-altering thing, and, like, there's so many different things that come out of that that are really interesting. Like, what are they going to do with the trade deadline? How are they going to replace him? How long is he going to be out? All these different things, and you're just trying to find little details to separate you. And I like to tell stories. Like, I'm telling stories about this team and these guys, and, like, they're professional athletes, and they're performing on the highest stage, and that's people look at them that way. But in the end, I mean, they really are, like, guys. Like, they're humans, and, like, getting to know some of these guys, like, yeah, they make a lot more money and they are some of these guys are living in a different world than we are, but in the end they have a lot of the same feelings and thoughts that many of us do. So connecting with those guys, I think, is kind of a fun part.
I think baseball players are probably the most easily relatable professional athletes, just because of maybe how they came up and the grind through the minors. And I mean, that's not glorious at all, to where every other sport, you're except for football, but you're in college. When you're in college for 2 years, especially now that you can make money, you're the man. Baseball, you could be fumbling away at the minors for a few years, and then once you get here, you have a different perspective. So I think that gives a more human emotion to each story, and that's what makes baseball stories better than most other sports, in my opinion.
What's interesting to me about it is what I've learned in my professional life doing a variety of different things is it really does come down to relationships, right? And I assume for you, it's building and cultivating those relationships so that you have people that are like, Matt Gelb's a good guy. I'll take his call. I'll talk to him. He's not going to burn me. He's going to be real with me. And you're probably like around similar age to a lot of these guys. I mean, we're all getting to that age.
I'm starting to get older than the
we're all getting to
players,
that age
which
where
is,
they're younger than us.
Truly disturbing.
My son will be like, Daddy, how old is LeBron James? And like, he seems so old. I'm like, yeah, I think I'm older than him.
On that note, I think an interesting thing, did you find when you were younger that you would get respected less by the players?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I connected more with the younger guys on the team, and when I started covering the team, it was an older team. I mean, my first full year was 2010, and it was an established older team. But yeah, now I'm older than the pitching coach.
Oh wow!
So that makes you feel good.
I got a question, right? How did you get into this whole thing? Like, did you grow up wanting to be a beat writer for the Phillies, or you went to college for journalism? I'm assuming, and you just kind of fell into this.
I think like my story is kind of like the standard, many sports stars tell you. It's like I grew up playing sports. I loved sports. I was shitty at sports. I wasn't good enough. So, am I allowed to curse in this podcast?
Yes.
All fucking day long.
So like I'm kind of a short guy. Like I knew I liked sports though, and I liked to write, and I just found myself, wanting to be involved in sports somehow, and I wrote about high school football when I was in high school. I went to Syracuse for journalism, and
that's a pretty big journalism school, isn't it?
It is, yeah. But I think journalism school is kind of overrated, and I could talk about that forever, but I don't want to because it's boring. But
that's good. I like that story though because it's like normal. I hate the guys who are like, well, I started writing articles on a notepad in front of the TV when I was 5 years old. Come on, man. Like that.
I don't think I did that.
Yeah, who's doing that? For
no,
real?
But I mean, I like to write and I like sports, and I knew I wasn't going to play sports, so I got lucky and was able to kind of combine those two passions, and here I am still kind of faking it, I guess.
Nice. So you came on with the Phillies in 2010, right after school?
Yeah. So I graduated 2009 from Syracuse, and I actually interned at a paper in Jersey where I was doing some Yankees stuff for most of the summer, and then I started covering high school sports for the Philadelphia Inquirer, and they went into bankruptcy, and they weren't allowed to hire anyone from the outside. They had some people leave, and was in the right place at the right time.
Nice.
So,
listen, I got a ton of respect for people in media because they all have that story like, oh, I worked in Albany at the local whatever. I'm telling you, this is a legit story. I got an internship at Action News in the Jersey Shore Bureau down in Margate. I got fired from a free internship straight up because I was like, why are we going to cover turtles in Wildwood, man? I don't get this,
Wait, that's why you got fired. Did you get fired for not showing up, or you got fired for questioning?
No, I remember specifically I got fired because I showed up a little bit late, and the woman who's running it was like, you can't be late. And then I looked over at the other guy and I was like, well, he was late, and she was like, you're fired or whatever. So that was,
that probably went on to be the I Love Turtles interview that was an internet sensation. Jesse just didn't see
I know, right?
Man.
Damn it, I could have been viral so long ago. Damn, man, that's messed up. Well, look, so awesome. I can't believe, I did want the realness of this experience. Every time a tractor trailer goes by, it's shaking my bones. I did think that we would have some crazy people walking by, and
it's pretty tame down here today.
This is a big moment for the Phillies, right? They're taking on the Braves, coming off a nice 3 out of 4 against the Padres. Obviously, the Harper situation is downer. I'm not feeling the energy out here. I mean, we're here and we're bringing it. And props to Plant and the whole crew for coming out. I see Fink over there. Fink, my man, what's up? Big shout out to that guy.
My boy M Leaf even showed up.
M Leaf in the house, love it. He's got a hand sanitizer shirt, which I'm digging. I like that. Look, we're bringing it. But are the fans bringing it? I'm not really seeing it. Hopefully some crazy people will
this
show
isn't
up.
like a WIP pregame where we
You're
need
right.
everyone to scream and yell behind
Yeah, right.
us.
We're not
Hey,
throwing free shit out.
Somebody
into the
go
crowd.
gather a bunch of people up to be like,
grab
"Yeah."
these ladies over there. Frank. Do your job.
No.
Now listen, Matt, you actually were on paternity leave while Girardi was fired.
I was.
And did that upset you that you weren't not only able to write about it, but not around the clubhouse to get because I'm sure getting the whole vibe of the team when there's something like that goes down, you probably catch stuff that you're not allowed to report on, and that gives you a better feel. Did that upset you that you weren't around for that?
Yeah, I thought May was going to be safe. May is typically a time in the baseball season where not
That's
too
a real
much is
baseball
going on.
reporter where
Not too
they
much is
plan
going
the pregnancy out so where it's
No.
a safe part of the season.
I
Gotta respect.
I was upset. I mean, yeah, like it was really weird. I mean, like I was happy to be at home, but really, missing out on a huge story that was, going in the season, probably wouldn't have expected that would happen in May, and I definitely was upset about it. I think looking back on it, I think another writer told me, in 15 years, you're probably not going to remember that you weren't there to cover that. You're probably going to remember the time you had at home with your kids. I'm like, yeah, that's fair. But in the moment, I was pretty upset
Mad
about
at
it.
your
I mean,
kid.
it was, I was mad.
I'll
Terrible
always resent you.
timing. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's tough, and that's another thing that I think is very interesting about having this job in this day and age, right? Like the quick takes and the access to information. You see a lot of people regurgitating things. How cutthroat is it really, like, for guys trying to get like stories and be the first one? It seems like it would just be kind of nuts.
I think it's cutthroat, like getting, people want to break news, and I know that that's important, but like often you're not going to remember like who had a story first anymore. I mean, I think there's some situations where
I always
you do.
said that was a thing amongst journalists. No real fan cares who breaks news first. In the grand scheme of things, that's always a thing, like a competition amongst journalists that they.
You know what? Look, I agree with you to an extent, but then you see like the NBA, like the Woj and the shit.
Well,
These guys
different.
have taken on
That's
like a life of
that's
their
like
own.
two guys in the entire sport who break news. When you're a beat writer for a team, and I'm saying when you get news like, hey, they released this guy, it's pretty much a general statement, and everyone gets it at the same time. And I'm talking about that where it's like it doesn't matter who.
It's like when the
reported
Eagles
that.
make their roster cuts, and like every single sports writer in the
Now,
city
if you
posts
could
it.
if you could get trade news before everybody else.
Yeah,
that's,
and like I view my job as like trying to tell readers or like fans like why did this happen, or
Right,
how did this
exactly.
happen, or like what's the story
which
behind
that's
like
what separates.
what's the story behind why they made this trade, or why they're gonna play this guy, or why they sent this guy out. Like,
And not
that-
just you, but Philadelphia journalists as a whole, especially for the Phillies, they're great at that.
Yeah.
They all tell great stories.
So there's a lot of competition on the
Yeah.
Phillies beat. I mean, guys that I'm really friendly with, like, we were really good friends, but like we're also competitors, and like it is, and it makes it fun. It's because we bust each other's balls. Like if somebody has a good story, and like it's fun, and I think it is competitive. But yeah, I mean, there's a whole media landscape out there now that is just it's insane. Like people lifting things, and I don't know. I mean, it's kind of crazy.
Lifting
Just-
things.
Well,
Yeah, I mean, like,
repurposing,
take-
stealing.
plagiarizing,
and
online
like,
plagiarism.
You haven't stolen anything, have you, Matt?
I haven't stolen
You
anything.
seem like
I'm
a
the
very
one-
trustworthy.
He does seem
to be honest.
trustworthy.
Yeah.
Very nice guy. I like this.
I got a question.
appreciate
So you've been with the team for over a decade.
He hasn't been with the
right?
team.
around the team.
Covering
Around
the
the
team.
for
He
over a
doesn't know these.
decade. Who's the wildest player you've ever been around?
The wildest player.
Yeah.
Wild how?
Wild, like this dude's a maniac. Like
Like
in
in
the
the
locker room,
clubhouse.
pounding beers, just getting wild. Just like a wild guy. Like this dude right here is a maniac.
I got to think about that. One of the weirdest guys I can tell you.
All right, there
Well,
go.
we like that
Yeah.
too.
Weird was Wilson Valdez, and he was a famous former Phillies backup infielder, and he once pitched in a game, and he was
I was there at the 19-inning game.
a really
stayed?
weird guy,
Savage.
though. Really weird.
My
Just-
phone died. I couldn't even tweet from it. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oof, heartbreaking.
really?
Yeah.
We're not trying to get you fired or
No,
anything, but,
no,
like,
no, no,
Weird
no.
how,
I mean,
weird like how? Like
just-
was he like on that Major League? What's my man's name in Major League?
Jabu.
Yeah.
No, they once had a pitcher, Jose Contreras, who was pitching the majors forever, but he actually practiced Santeria, and
Oh shit.
he was like a gentle giant, but he did some strange things. But no, Wilson.
Did anybody play
Wilson
that
would,
Sublime song?
Yeah,
too?
No.
I was thinking that. I don't practice Santeria.
Yeah, exactly.
I was thinking that right there.
Whenever I hear that song, I think of Jose Contreras, and that's
Yeah.
how my brain is wired now. I have these weird.
What about your favorite guy you've been around?
Yeah.
My favorite guy I've been around.
Who's been the nicest? Like, this guy right here is a genuine, like,
Yeah, because
good
there's
guy.
got to be like that one
Yeah.
guy who's like takes you kind of under his wing, gives you a little bit more than the other guys, or maybe not. Maybe
I'm sure some of these guys are
That's the
assholes.
way
and they just,
we
like, don't want to
envision it.
deal with people at all. Then there's like guys who are like, yeah,
that's the way it would happen in the movies.
Yeah, I mean, like you think about it, it's like my job, like I'm in there and I'm usually asking these guys, like often I'm asking them like questions about when they've had a bad game or something.
Right,
And it's
right.
like, I'm that guy, and so like
Right.
it can be a tough relationship sometimes. But I think early on in my career, like a guy who I really appreciated, I wasn't around him like that much because he was only Phillies for 2 years while I was here, and I came to develop a relationship with him after. It was Jason Worth, who's like what was funny about Worth is that like he didn't want you to know that he was really smart. Like people look at him and they see the hair, they see the beard,
Right.
they kind of see how he acts, and it's like, oh, this is this goofy guy. But like he's secretly smart, and like what I loved is that he didn't want anyone to know that. But every time he would kind of let you in and start explaining things, I just loved that.
Listen,
And
I
he
still
was-
remember his rookie card for the Baltimore Orioles. Like the
glasses.
biggest friggin' nerd.
Rob, do you
he's-
remember that, right?
What I'm saying, he's a great guy.
I remember Jason
Probably-
Worth, and I remember.
I don't remember the rookie card either.
I'm just
Def-
picking guys
definitely
who are
smart
long
dude.
out of the sport now, so that I can't get
Yeah,
in trouble
hey.
for any of this. No, but
No,
Worth
that's a-
was
that's a good move.
Worth is actually just saw him in DC when we were there a couple weeks ago because he was there for a Ryan Zimmerman thing, and his son is in college now, and like it's so weird, because I'm now getting older. We're talking about older than the
Right.
players, and watching some of these guys' kids grow up. It's like holy cow.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
yeah.
Now,
totally.
one thing I was hoping to get before Girardi left, I wanted the Philadelphia media to just nudge him until he just exploded, and we never got that moment with Girardi. He never even exploded on the field. I honestly don't think he gave a shit about the team or anybody. So, do you have any good memories of either a guy flipping out? I got two. My two favorites were 2007. It was early in the season. I think it was like April. Phillies had a bad loss. Howard Eskin comes out and he starts telling Charlie Manuel, he goes, I don't think you got enough fire in you. He goes, I don't think you're. And Charlie Manuel's like, you don't think I got enough fire in me? He goes, my players, he goes, I'll tell you, meet me in my office after this game. I'll show you how much fire I got. Charlie Manuel offered Howard, and I love Howard Eskin too. I think he's a legend in Philly. He's
Both were here at the ballpark today before the game.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure they've kissed and made
They
up
have.
since then. But it was just a
I would
great.
have. That would have been a good
great
pay per
moment.
view right there. I'd pay to see that.
Now that was
I wouldn't pay to see two old white dudes boxing, but
it would have been fun. It would have been fun. And,
Fair
and
enough.
Manuel would have knocked him out. I'm sorry, but and the other one, which was it was so politically incorrect. It happened in 2008. Brett Myers was pitching one game. He gave up a couple home runs, and Sam Carchidi was a Flyers beat writer, and he wrote for high schools, and he was filling in for somebody that night. And Brett Myers said something like, yeah, I didn't think either of those balls went out. And Sam Carchidi, like, real condescendingly, like, dude, you're not even a Phillies beat writer. Just stay in your lane. He's like, oh, you didn't think they went out? And he's like, oh, you did? And Brett Myers, this is his words. This isn't me talking. And this is like 2008 when there was a pop song called Let's Get Retarded. So excuse me for saying
It was in the song. It was in the song. I remember it.
But
I remember
this
it.
was a direct quote from both of them. Brett Myers called Sam Carchidi a retard, and then Sam Carchidi said, "How do you spell retard?" He goes, "You know how to spell it. It's in your vocabulary." He says, "Meet me after the." It was another one of those things where Brett Myers just went off, and it was totally inappropriate.
This is
But
extra pertinent to me because the Flyers just hired John Tortorella, right? And I've heard a lot of interviews with him, and they're talking to him about that because he's like a guy who's known for getting after media members. And I got to assume you're in there, you're asking questions, and that's always in the back of your mind, like, oh man, am I going to be the guy that the coach just absolutely lays
Right.
into? But you got to do your job, right?
It's a hazard of the job.
Yeah.
I wish you would have got Girardi to flip out, dude.
The closest we came was like last year. It was like Zoom, because it was early in the season and we didn't have access, and so like part of it was because we weren't around him that much,
Right.
like in person. But like they didn't play Harper for a few days, and they just said he was getting rest. He was rest, but he was he was hurt, and then they said he's not playing, and then there was like a couple contentious questions with Girardi about it. It's like, how can you trust, what you're saying anymore about these guys? Because you basically just lied about this guy, and then the next day he's like, I'm not talking about injuries anymore.
Right.
I'm not giving any injury updates anymore. And it's like, that was the closest I think he came to like really just going off. But mainly, you're right. I mean, he was very mild-mannered.
Honestly, props to him, because anyone else would have caved under the similar circumstances.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that was the issue with him. He was so even keel. Maybe he was that too much that way with the players. I remember back when people were talking about firing him, I'm like, I don't know that that's the answer, but it certainly seems like it had a pretty dramatic impact. And I mean, you've seen this firsthand.
I love Rob Thompson's cavalier attitude. I just love it.
But
he's Canadian. How can you not like him?
Listen, I'm just looking at this from the outside. You're obviously closer to this. How did that happen? Like, what do you think? Like, what's your take on how that change impacted the team?
I mean, it definitely helped. I think guys just relax a little bit. But I think more than anything, I mean, they were. This is a decent team, and the way they were playing in May, they were totally underachieving. Right. And I think just more than anything, it was timing. I mean, they started playing a better schedule. Some guys at the top of the lineup started to get hot. I definitely think that there was something to, a change sort of jolting this team and being like, oh, hey, like, we just got this guy fired. Like, that kind of sucks. And that is how guys think. I mean, it's not like, I don't know. And I know that any guy in there was going to be like, oh, I'm going to lay down, and lay down and risk my life for Joe Girardi. I don't know that necessarily had a lot of relationships like that with him. But when
maybe
somebody
Didi
gets fired,
Gregorius.
maybe Didi. When somebody gets fired, I mean, mainly because of, your lack of production. I mean, I don't know.
So there's a sense of guilt there, you think, from these guys?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I think there's a sense that we need to be better. But Rob Thompson's been around this club for a while now. He was the bench coach under Gabe Kepler. A lot of these guys here know him pretty well. There's a certain level of trust with him, I think, that he might not have gotten with like a normal interim manager who just comes in. And so I think, the combination of a new voice and playing well at the right time kind of got this team going. And
so behind the scenes, you weren't hearing the guys like, thank God that fucking guy's gone. Like, now we can really just...
Not really, no. I think the only thing you would hear would be that, like, he the one thing that Joe Girardi did was he wore his stress. Like, you could tell when he was stressed.
Right.
And his players knew it. And
yeah,
it rubs off on people.
Yeah, and you kind of know if you make one bad step here, once it's like, are you going to be in the lineup tomorrow? And that obviously there's guys who are always going to be in the lineup, but I think there was that stress definitely was felt in the clubhouse. And,
so not to change the subject, which means I'm going to change the subject, but you said something that triggered something in my brain, and you mentioned Gabe Kepler. And, I think something that's been going on here in Philadelphia across all the teams seems to be this pattern of us getting people when they're kind of, young and figuring it out, then they leave and do well. And then we bring in guys that are like bona fide coaches. See, for example, Joe Girardi, Doc Rivers, and things don't improve. And so I wanted to get your take on this with Gabe Kepler because, part of me thinks Gabe Kepler is like an evolved manager who understands, has more of a rapport with the younger guys because he can relate to them, and that we kind of ran him out of town. I know there was a lot of reasons why he had to go, but from your perspective, like, how did you see that whole situation?
I don't think it was going to work here. I don't know that people ran him out of town, though, here either. I mean, I think the situation he has in San Francisco is quite good. I mean, he has maybe the smartest GM in baseball. He's his boss.
He's made for
that's my problem. I don't even know who the GM in San Francisco is. So that's on me.
I think he just has a better situation. I also think he learned a lot of things here. I mean, I think there were things here that he probably did that he was like, would look back on and say, I should not have done that. And I don't know that necessarily the whole organization was ready here for, like, some of the things that he wanted to do. I mean, they had big ideas, but this isn't necessarily the best place to try it out on. And I don't know. I mean,
sometimes it happens that way.
He's had success.
Whatever,
yeah,
right?
Exactly. I mean, it was his first managerial job. He's had success now. So,
but can I make a confession? I'm going to make a confession here because I was watching the Phillies Giants series. I think I was at this game. I can't recall. And he came out of the dugout to do, talk to the pitcher or something, and he had the glasses on. And I was like, this guy, man, he's a good-looking guy. This is a sharp guy, and man, I don't know, maybe he should have been our guy.
Did you have that poster on
it was a man crush.
Of him?
No, not him in the Speedo.
Yeah.
Nah,
okay.
No, I didn't.
But you thought about it.
I gotta be honest with you, I saw him a couple times when he would go to events and stuff. He's a slick dude. Like, he had his shit together. Shout out to my sister-in-law. She's got a serious crush on Gabe Kepler. She's always sending me pictures of him, not in the nude or anything.
All right, that's kind of weird.
Yeah, no. I mean, she's not sending me nude pictures of Gabe Kepler. I think I've kind of outed myself.
Back to the
as a Gabe Kepler lover.
Here.
All right, now listen,
this is sports talk.
We've gotten way off the subject.
We're going to put you on the spot here. Do you think the Phillies could hang in here for the next month and a half until Harper gets back and
please
stay in
say
the
yes.
race and entertain us throughout the summer? Just please say yes. Please say yes.
You want to be entertained, and I think they're going to entertain us. We got to the point here where they're relevant, and it was in May. You're thinking, this is going to be a rough summer. Like, you just want to be entertained, right? And I think they will entertain us. It's going to be hard, though. I mean, honestly, like, these next 2 weeks are about as big as it gets because you've got the Braves for 3, and then you've got 7 against the Cardinals.
How does that happen?
3 here, and then 4 in St. Louis.
It's unbelievable.
And those are 2 teams that you're chasing right now, and to set a tone in these games without Bryce, like, I think they have to have a really good 2 weeks here, and then you're going to get to the All-Star break, kind of regroup then, maybe make some trades after the break. I do think they're going to stay in it because I do think they will make some trades because you're at $235 something million payroll. They're already into this thing. They think Harper will be back at some point this season. They don't know when, but they think he'll be back. So
I think the better they play, the more motivated he'll be to get back early.
The guy's motivated.
Yeah, he's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, if they started playing like absolute ass, then maybe. But I think he's going to want to come back no matter what.
Help me figure this whole thing out, right? I'm a baseball idiot, right? Aren't the Phillies in 3rd place in the league?
Listen, they just added a couple playoff spots. There's wild card spots. You don't have to win your division anymore.
All right, I got you.
Almost half of the sport now is going to be in the playoffs.
I got
you.
Right.
Which is very
so as long as you're
baseball.
In stride and you're feeling good when the playoffs start, you got a chance. Like the Giants and whenever.
That's the thing. If the Phillies get into a short series, you kind of like them because Wheeler and Nola have been so good this year, and you're in a best of 3 series with those 2 guys starting 2 out of the 3 games. Like, you kind of feel good about it if they can get in there. That's a big if.
Wait, I need you to explain this to me real quick. So they went to the 3 wildcard teams. How many series are 3 games now?
Just the first series, and now the first series is going to be. They won't have a home game here. It'll be 3 games in the higher seeds ballpark.
What?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, and you have to win 2 out of 3.
They're really messing with this thing.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
Well, I actually was reading your piece. I don't know if it's your most recent piece. I think it was yesterday about the tone of the locker room after the Harper injury, and I saw there were players who were saying, this is a good team, and to me that jumped out because I'm quite sure you could interview any player on any major league team and you guys aren't going well. Well, we know we have a good team, but it actually kind of seemed like they believed it, or at least the way you wrote it made me feel like they believed it. So I'm asking your question is, do you think they really believe it? So much so that
So do they believe it, or are you just a good writer?
Yeah, you made me think they believe it.
Well, I don't want to be pushing something that's not true onto you. I don't want to be misleading you.
Well, you just said what they said in a way
I
that
do think they believe that because if you look at this team on paper, this is the best team they've had since they last made the playoffs in 2011.
800 years ago.
Damn, they haven't made the
800
playoffs
years ago.
since 2011? What the?
I mean, listen, if you, and not to diverge from the question, but if you take a step back, I remember, 2008, you're like, oh my gosh, this team is going right back to the World Series. And, tell me if I'm wrong about this. Didn't Chase Utley set the record for the most homers in the World Series against the Yankees?
That was in 09.
09.
09, that's what I meant. 09, the year after, right? 6 or something?
The year they did.
And, obviously, and then after that, it was it went back down.
But Gelb was probably in Syracuse that year and didn't even follow the Phillies.
I was at the 2009 World Series.
We just realized.
We
realized you started your journalistic career right before the Phillies went through 10 years of not making the playoffs.
Yes.
Is that accurate?
Yes.
But you still caught them in the good. Those first few years were incredible.
Oh yeah, I mean the 2011 Phillies are the best team I'll ever cover, and they lost in the first round. They won 102 games, and they were a team that you went in there every day and you're like, these guys think they're going to win. And they don't just think it, they're going to, and they're going to kick your ass.
Yeah.
And they did.
But isn't that a microcosm of our sports life? Meaning we've had a few moments, and before 2008, we didn't have it at all. 2008, we felt it. Eagles Super Bowl, we felt it. And I remember watching, Doug Peterson, this is the new norm. You know what I mean? And you're like, dude, we're going to have it. But then it's like this fleeting thing. You had it. It's like a drug, and you want more, and you can't. And the idea that the Phillies went 10 freaking years or whatever, I don't know how many years it is, since being in the playoffs, I'm one to say, well, what's the point of getting the playoffs if you're just going to get smoked anyway? But now I'm like, just give me the damn playoffs. What the hell?
You become more grateful.
So you think these guys genuinely believe they're good enough to get through this?
And I also think that they know the front office is going to go get them some guys. It may not be, you're not going to get a superstar here at the trade deadline, but like you're going to get pieces that should help you. Another bullpen guy, maybe another infielder, maybe a center fielder. But you look at the roster, it is a better team. And their issue right now is that the rest of the league, the top of the league, is playing really good.
Right.
I mean, right now the 6th seed, now that there's 6 teams in the playoffs, they're on pace for like 89 wins. And that's a lot. I mean, the Phillies haven't gotten anywhere near that in a decade. So,
and I got to throw myself under the bus a little as a sports fan, because I get a little bit like singularly focused on our teams. And as the Phillies were ripping off these wins, I think they had won like 10 games. I wasn't paying attention to anything. And my buddy goes, "Did you know the Braves won 13 in a row?" I'm like, "You gotta be kidding me!" Like, what are you talking about?
Phillies won a 9-game winning streak, and I think they picked.
Yeah, that's where I was getting at with the whole. Aren't they in third place?
But you can't think about it like that. You have to think about it like if they were playing 500, now they'd be completely out of it.
Right.
They're keeping up with the competition.
Right.
That's all they have to do until.
Is this a weird year for baseball where like all these teams are really good? Like I heard like the Yankees are on like some records.
Yeah, but like the good teams are really good.
It is.
Like,
there's a lot of really bad teams this year.
Okay.
There's a lot of. I mean, there's.
And we could be them, so that's okay.
That's right. It could be worse. Yes, there's some like polar opposites this year.
That's
for sure.
Do you think the Mets, the Braves, any of these other teams are going to come back to reality a little bit? Because we kind of need a little of that too.
They need help.
Like, how much do you pay attention to that as a guy that covers Phillies? You kind of have to, but it's hard, right?
Try to stay up on some of the other teams. Try to read as much as I can.
I mean, do you think like the Mets have just been out of control? Do you think they're coming back to reality? The Braves at all?
No, they're not. They're getting their two best pitchers
the Mets
back.
have been doing this without DeGrom and Scherzer.
That's fine. That's fine.
I got a question, right? So
And you
every
forget-
time he has a question, he goes, "I got a question."
I got a question. I feel like we're getting way too into the Philly stuff. No, not. I mean,
Well, we do have a.
yeah, I understand, but I want to hear a little bit more about
Did you see the backdrop we got here?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, the Phillies.
What
are
did you
great.
think we were
Phillies are
talking
great.
about?
I want to know about the life as a beat writer, right? So like when you're on the road, right? How lonely is it? Like I know you got a family. It sounds like you got a new kid, right?
Quick.
Yeah, I just want to know about like how life on the road is, because you're like traveling all the time, I'd imagine, right? So like, how is that?
He just got back from San Diego.
I mean, what's great is that like I know these cities now, so like I have places I like to go to,
Okay.
like a coffee shop or lunch place or whatever.
doesn't
Like
You got
so
people
bad.
in these other cities.
yeah,
Like,
if I have friends like I want to catch up with, like that's a cool part of it. But yeah, I mean it's what I was saying before is like luckily like some of the other guys who cover the team I'm friendly with, and we'll you might travel, you might take the same flight out, or you might get lunch together. So
Right.
it's not it could be worse. Yeah, and
Okay.
San Diego's a nice city. We just came from San Diego.
So
that's not so
you enjoy the time on the road.
I do. I mean, now that I have kids, it's a little harder for that time on the road. But I love. I mean, like it's great. I mean, I get paid to go, travel a country and watch baseball. And like, yeah, it is a job still. Like, there's things about it that kind of suck sometimes, but it's still pretty good.
Do you get time to go like do some fun stuff, or is it just like all got to be here, got to be there?
I mean, usually the mornings like are when on the road, or like when I have time, because it's usually night games.
What are you gonna do tonight after this? I'm interested in this.
I'm gonna go back. I mean,
Go
am
to the
I
media booth?
I'm gonna go back up to the press box. I might have.
Can
some
you wear
dinner unless
sandals
I
in
have
the press
dinner.
box?
No, you can't wear sandals in the press box.
There you go. Very
There's
unprofessional.
a rule against sandals in the press box, or is
Got to have foot covering.
it an unwritten law?
I think there's actually a dress code. Like I think you cannot have open-toed shoes or something.
Oh, it makes no sense, but all right.
Man.
I mean,
well,
you don't want to see.
Yeah, you don't want
people's
smelly
toes.
feet up there when you're.
that's what I'm saying. I feel that way.
I figure
Okay.
if you're rocking
Okay.
flip-flops, your feet don't stink, but whatever.
What's
So-
is it? The beginning of this show started with flip flops. Like what?
Well, I'm bringing it back around. No, but I have a question. I did say that this wasn't a food show, but I need to ask you a question, because this has been a polarizing topic amongst our incredibly large fan base.
Stadium go?
What's your opinion of pickles?
Pickles.
Yeah,
Well,
do you like pickles?
I like pickles on my hoagies. Not
Okay.
every hoagie. But
What
like,
about?
Listen, he's just trying to
I'm
make fun of
baiting
me
him.
because I don't like pickles on my chicken
Do you
sandwich.
like pickles
and I
on a
made
chicken
big deal out of
sandwich?
that.
I would definitely eat pickles on chicken sandwich.
Yeah.
Oh.
What's your go-to meal at the park?
Oh yeah.
Well, I mean, they have like a cafeteria for.
I've heard
the-
about
the
this.
press,
I've heard about this.
for, like the employees and
Okay,
the
okay.
press, and
Yep.
so.
Okay.
But honestly, like if I'm going on the concourse, like I'm probably going to get a Federal Donuts chicken sandwich
Bang, with pickles.
with pickles.
Shout out to my man Tom Henneman at Beef to Eat. Well, we have a special sandwich that was created just for Meech here. that he's going to eat. And this is
What is that? Is that a pickle sandwich?
The pickle pleasure. It's just pickles, okay? And all the people that bashed you for your pickle hate, you want to make sure that you get that, Meech.
I got a couple people who agreed with me.
It's got cheese on it.
Look at this. I mean, this is unbelievable.
Wait, do we
Aleko,
not?
can you get a shot of this? I want to say something. I got to give a shout out to my man. You guys might have seen him coming in the frame from time to time. Here he is. Boom. He goes through. Christopher Plant. Without him, this wouldn't be possible. He brought his his van down here and made a legitimate cheesesteak sandwich with his own cut up meat.
I'm gonna take a bite and tell you guys what's going on.
Yeah, do it. Cause hey, I had this dream that we were gonna do a podcast in the parking lot of Citizen Bank Park, and I gotta be honest with you guys. We got a legitimate journalist. We got handmade cheesesteaks. It is the most beautiful day that has ever existed here, and I'm just feeling really excited about what we pulled off today. So I gotta thank you guys for coming down. I know I suggested doing this a week ago, and it all kind of happened. And I thank you guys for committing to it. Matt, thank you, my man. Appreciate you.
My legs fucking
We're gonna have to you back on one day. Hey, later on this season, man, when things get real, we're gonna have you back to see what's going on, because we're all crossing our fingers. We're gonna have some Phillies playoff baseball. Bryce Harper comes back and pulls the TO move, saves us. That's what we're all rooting
real quick.
for.
What's your prediction?
I predict that they will not make the playoffs.
Oh,
damn!
It's just too
Can
much.
you edit that out?
It's
Can you
too
edit
much.
that out?
Wait, can we edit it so he said, I predict that we will make the playoffs.
I hope I'm wrong, because I mean, honestly, like people want to see it, and it's been too
I
long.
know.
It's
I
been
just
too
want to
long.
party with the great people of Philadelphia, who I don't really see bringing it here on the, typical weekday
Tuesday
afternoon.
night.
But hey, it's been great, guys. Thank you so much. And anybody that's tuning in or checking us out, we really appreciate it. It's been fun interacting with everybody over the past
Matt.
couple weeks.
Appreciate it, man.
Thanks, man.
Thank you, guys.
Go Phils.